What happens when you're born, well, belonging nowhere?
It's a heavy question.
Yeah, imagine a reality where your very existence is a paradox. No country, no language, no legal identity that really matches the world around you.
It sounds almost like a philosophical thought experiment, right?
Yes.
It's something you might kick around.
Exactly. Abstract. But for some people, this isn't theory. It's just the stark reality of their birth.
Mm-hmm.
And our deep dive today explores the incredible, sometimes harrowing, but ultimately really inspiring story of one such person, Trevor Noah.
Ah, Trevor Noah, yeah.
Now, when you hear that name, you probably think of the global phenomenon. You know, Grammy-winning comedian, author of Born a Crime.
Right, the book that everyone seemed to be reading.
Totally. Former host of The Daily Show, reshaping political comedy, and someone who, just through sheer force of will, built this astonishing $100 million empire.
Which is mind-blowing on its own. But the context...
That's the kicker. And what makes his story so compelling, he built that empire quite literally with nothing but his voice, defying every conventional path to success.
And starting from a place of just radical unacknowledgement. It wasn't just not fitting in.
No, far beyond that.
And what's truly fascinating here, and why Trevor's journey hits home for so many, I think, is the paradox. You know, his origins versus where he ended up.
Right.
Now, obviously, not everyone faces such extreme circumstances of not belonging in that profound legal sense.
Of course not.
But his journey offers these universal insights, doesn't it? Into how you make your voice heard when the world, well, isn't exactly designed to listen to you.
How do you carve out that space?
Exactly. And how do you define your own existence, your own value, your own story, when the systems around you are basically saying, you don't even qualify for one?
Okay, so let's really unpack this. We need to go back to the beginning. Apartheid, South Africa.
A system built entirely on racial segregation and oppression, deeply ingrained.
And Trevor Noah was born in 1984. His mother, Patricia Nombuzalo Noah, was Black Xhosa. His father, Robert Noah, white Swiss German.
And that union wasn't just, socially difficult. It was illegal, explicitly, under the Immorality Act, the Group Areas Act.
His very existence, his mixed race identity, was literally classified as a crime.
Think about that. Your birth certificate couldn't even list his father's name for years. A direct consequence of laws designed to deny their relationship, their family.
Can you imagine carrying that label from your first breath? Illegal.
It's almost impossible to truly fathom.
And the implications were profound, chilling, went way beyond legal documents.
Oh, absolutely. It dictated daily life.
He grew up unacknowledged, literally hidden, sometimes for days, weeks even, just so his mother wouldn't get arrested.
Patricia talked about this in the book. In Soweto, if a colored child like Trevor was seen with a white man like his father, severe consequences, jail time, forced removal, a constant threat.
So young Trevor learned about society not by being in it, but by watching it. Through the curtains of their home, observing life from the shadows.
Seeing a world that didn't want to see him.
He never had a passport that truly matched him. His identity papers were like a patchwork of ambiguities.
Because the system had no proper category for him.
Right. No school felt entirely like home because his racial identity confused a segregated system. Even his skin color wasn't just biology. It was a political statement that baffled the authorities.
A living, breathing embodiment of illegality.
And this is where the depth of his unbelonging really hits you, like you said.
Yeah, it's crucial. It wasn't just about lacking money, though they definitely experienced poverty in Soweto. That was real.
But it was more fundamental.
It was an existential lack of recognition. A void where his legal identity, his social place, should have been. He wasn't just poor. He was invisible to the law. A non-person. And that fundamental reality, that outsider status, it shaped his perspective from day one, gave him this inherent critical distance. The world didn't know how to place him, so he had to figure out his own place, define himself.
Which brings us to the central, really compelling question for this deep dive, doesn't it? How did someone who came from literally nowhere with, nothing but the truth of his own existence and these incredibly sharp observations, how did he reshape the world and build a global empire just by speaking?
It's staggering when you frame it like that.
It really is. This isn't a story of, inherited wealth or political connections or some easy path.
No shortcuts here.
This is about how Trevor Noah took that profound, often painful sense of not belonging and turned it into his ultimate superpower.
He didn't try to erase it or hide it?
No, he didn't try to change who he was to fit in. He did it by consistently telling his truth, wrapping it in laughter, delivering it authentically.
Copy in multiple languages, which is key.
Yes, 5 languages. And ultimately reaching millions across continents. It's just a testament to the sheer force of an authentic voice.
A well-articulated one, yeah.
And that's exactly what we're going to dig into over the next 20, 30 minutes or so.
Right. We want to unpack the architecture, really, of his journey, how he leveraged that initial disadvantage into just extraordinary success.
So look at his financial mindset.
Which is completely unique, shaped by that early life.
His career strategy, which was genius.
Definitely unconventional.
Okay.
Then his success habits, his life philosophy.
Which prioritizes freedom and curiosity above almost everything else.
And finally, how he handles crisis. His thinking there is also quite distinct.
Yeah, you'll probably find his approach to all of these things is very different from, the standard celebrity success playbook. Okay, so given that extraordinary backdrop, that start in life,
Yeah.
it's maybe not surprising that his relationship with something like money was also, totally redefined from day one.
It had to be, didn't it? His earliest experiences forged a really unique financial philosophy.
He wasn't aspiring to be rich in the way we might think of it. Mansions, fast cars.
Not the goal. His primary aim, overriding everything else, was simply survival.
And this wasn't abstract. It was the raw, daily reality of his childhood.
Think about that scene he describes so vividly. His mother, Patricia, having to hide him indoors.
For days, sometimes weeks.
Not because he was sick, but out of sheer necessity.
Fear. Because being seen in public, especially in Soweto, a black township with a white father and a mixed-race child.
It was a criminal offense. Police raids, arrests, families torn apart. These were constant threats.
So young Trevor literally learned about society as an outsider, watching life through the curtains.
Observing the parades, the protests, the struggles, all from hiding.
That visceral experience of being marginalized, unseen, unsafe, it shaped his deepest understanding of what security even means.
It wasn't about having things. It was about just being safe, being allowed to exist.
And that early experience in Soweto, where poverty was, as you said, existential.
Yeah, that's crucial for understanding his later financial view. In a place where your house could be bulldozed, where laws could change overnight and erase your identity.
Money wasn't about wanting a bigger TV.
Exactly. It was about having enough to just exist, to not be forced into compromising your very being.
It ingrained this unique understanding of money's fundamental purpose.
It wasn't accumulation for its own sake. It was about enabling freedom, creating space to be, to speak, to learn, to move without constraint.
And his mother, Patricia Noah, her mindset about money was, truly radical.
Absolutely. For her, every single cent was a tool, a lever, a strategic investment in Trevor's future, not a trophy.
She's playing a completely different game, a much longer game focused on liberation.
Intellectual liberation, personal freedom.
And you see this in these concrete, almost heartbreaking examples from his childhood in Born a Crime.
Right, like prioritizing private school tuition over new clothes for herself.
Or even better food. They'd eat cheap staples, sometimes worms or wild plants, just so she could afford books for him.
Or transport to get him to a better school outside their area.
Yeah.
That took sacrifice.
And her reasoning was so profound, almost prophetic. He recalls her telling him,
I'm raising a free man.
that exact line, he said it echoed in his head years later, signing multi-million-dollar deals.
Wow.
It reminded him of the ultimate purpose. It wasn't just about the money, it was about what it represented, freedom.
That's a foundational principle. It completely shifts the definition of wealth.
And it's incredible how that maternal philosophy just permeated Trevor's later decisions, right?
Totally. It wasn't about piling up material things. It was investing in liberation, in intellectual capital, in the ability to move freely.
It instilled this idea that money was about enablement, unlocking possibilities.
And critically, preserving independence, narrative ownership, not just indulgence or status.
He learned early that real wealth wasn't just the bank balance.
No, it's what it allowed you to do, what knowledge it let you acquire, what kind of person it allowed you to be.
A free man, unconstrained.
Exactly, free from external control.
So it's no surprise then that for Trevor, money was never really about status or showing off.
No, it was about something much more vital. Insulation, as he calls it.
Yeah, a force field, a protective layer.
Between him and the oppressive forces of the world.
A force field insulating him from being silenced?
From having his identity erased or compromised.
From his freedom being traded away? For convenience, for necessity, even for a job?
In a world that literally criminalized his existence, where skin color dictated everything.
Financial independence became his shield against external control, against systems trying to define him, against anyone trying to own his voice or his story.
He got it early on. If you don't have your own resources, someone else sets the terms.
And this is such a rare perspective when you compare it to common motivations for wealth, isn't it?
Hugely different. Most people chase money for, external validation, luxury status, maybe a certain kind of security tied to things.
Right.
Trevor viewed financial success primarily as a means to intellectual independence, narrative ownership.
Securing the means to tell his story on his terms. No compromise.
So when he signed those big deals, it wasn't the number itself as a trophy. It was what that number allowed him to do.
Fund his own projects.
Maintain creative control.
Amplify voices that weren't usually heard.
It's a fundamentally different game he's playing.
And this mindset wasn't just theoretical, it translated directly into specific strategic financial decisions as he started earning.
Right from the early days. Small stand-up gigs in Joburg, then bigger tours.
Yeah.
He didn't just spend the money.
No, he made it his business to understand the mechanics. He talks about spending nights poring over legal jargon.
Obsessively studying contracts, understanding clauses most artists probably glance over.
He quickly set up his own production company, Day Zero Productions.
Specifically to own his intellectual property, right from the start.
This wasn't just some side thing. It was his fortress, holding the rights to his specials, his tours, his life story.
Control.
And crucially, when he negotiated for The Daily Show. Taking over from Jon Stewart, huge platform, huge pressure.
Immense pressure. And scrutiny.
He didn't just push for salary, though. That was significant. Started around, $5-8 million, went up to $16 million a year eventually.
Reportedly, yeah. But that wasn't the main fight.
No. He famously negotiated for significant creative control, editorial input, ownership of his segments.
He wasn't just the face. He wanted to be an architect of the show.
And he wasn't doing it to flex. He made it clear, I refuse to be owned.
A direct echo of his mother's teaching. Money buys freedom, not servitude.
And you still see this now, even with a net worth over $100 million, reportedly.
Yeah, as of 2025 estimates. He hasn't gone for the typical billionaire toys.
No fashion brands, sports teams, giant real estate plays.
Instead, he consistently reinvests in ventures that amplify storytelling. Diverse voices.
Supporting nuanced cultural content, media education initiatives.
Continuing to fund his global touring through Day Zero Productions. These aren't passive investments.
No, they're active extensions of his mission. Control the narrative, amplify voices, reach further, deeper.
Unencumbered by external pressures. It's continuous reinvestment in his core purpose.
So if we boil down his entire view on financial success, it's this incredibly powerful idea.
Yeah.
Money isn't the finish line. It's not a trophy. It's not a hoard. It's a microphone.
That's a great analogy. It perfectly encapsulates his philosophy.
Right.
For Trevor Noah, financial success is the ability to speak louder, longer, and crucially, without interruption, without censorship.
Leveraging resources to amplify his voice, his stories.
Making them a force for change, for clarity, for connection, in a world that often struggles with all three.
So maybe the question for you listening is this. When you think about your own financial goal,
are you working to get rich in that conventional sense, accumulating stuff?
Or are you working to secure the freedom, the platform to never be silenced again?
That's a profound difference in motivation and ultimately in impact.
Trevor Noah didn't just wait for a seat at the table. It feels like he built his own table.
Dragged it into the room.
Yeah, and made people sit down and listen. His career didn't start with fame. It started with, a borrowed microphone in a nearly empty bar in Johannesburg.
Smoky bars, small crowds, low stakes financially, maybe just a few bucks.
And those early stories are fascinating. Pure dedication. At first, he says, nobody laughed.
Imagine that, a comedian facing silence night after night.
But he wasn't just aiming for immediate, cheap laughs. He was doing something else. He was listening.
Studying, observing how people responded, not just to the jokes,
but to his delivery, the nuances of different languages, accents, how identity could be bent or revealed just by tone and timing.
He was like a linguistic detective, wasn't he? piecing together these subtle codes of human interaction most of us just miss.
It was this rigorous, almost scientific approach to communication, constant calibration.
And that's where his unique learning process really stands out. Unlike comedians who might just mimic others or follow trends,
Trevor was observing human behavior at this granular level.
he wouldn't just hear a joke, he'd analyze the pause before it, the specific inflection, how a cultural reference landed or didn't in different rooms,
Learning how people process things, how humor works across cultures.
how to craft a message that resonates deeply, not just superficially. This forensic analysis, combined with his unique life, that became his superpower.
And it led directly to his strategic genius. He wasn't trying to fill an existing slot or compete head-on with established voices.
No, he was actively creating a lane nobody else could fill. Multilingual, multicultural, deeply observant, fiercely independent, rooted in his South African identity.
That became the cornerstone of his wealth strategy, a principle he lives by. Never compete where you can't win.
Instead, build where no one else is looking.
He found this void in global comedy and commentary, and then painstakingly became the only person who could authentically fill it.
Made himself irreplaceable.
So by 2010, his stand-up is getting serious traction across Africa. He's becoming a household name back home.
Right. But then came the big leap, the audacious move.
To the United States. The most competitive, maybe the most insular comedy market on earth.
Most people probably advised against it, or at least urged serious caution.
And that initial reception in the U.S., not exactly a warm welcome.
No, he talks about performing in small clubs where his accent just confused people.
Yeah.
Blank stares.
His African references, so natural to him, just went over heads. No context for American audiences.
He was the outsider, struggling to connect with a very different cultural vibe, often having to explain himself before the joke.
Relearning how to be funny for a whole new world.
But this is where his adaptability really shines. And it's key he didn't change who he was. That's critical.
Right.
Instead, he started connecting dots others ignored or just couldn't see.
Like drawing parallels between apartheid South Africa and American race politics.
Exactly. Finding common ground between poverty and inequality in Johannesburg and what he saw in Brooklyn or Ferguson.
He didn't dilute his experience, he translated it into universal human truths. Showed how global issues mirrored local ones.
Brilliantly done.
And the result was transformative. Slowly, surely, the outsider didn't feel so foreign anymore.
He felt necessary.
He wasn't just telling jokes. He was offering this vital, fresh perspective on issues Americans were grappling with, but from an external, unbiased viewpoint.
His unique background, once a hurdle, became his greatest asset, illuminating things with unparalleled clarity and humor.
Okay, fast forward to 2015, Comedy Central announces him, this relatively young foreigner, largely unknown in the U.S. late-night scene, as Jon Stewart's replacement on The Daily Show.
The skepticism was loud. Critics scoffed, predicted failure, questioned the network's sanity. Who is this guy?
But maybe that's exactly why he was the perfect choice, despite the noise.
I think so. He didn't carry the baggage, the ingrained biases of American media, or the traditional late-night format.
He offered a genuine third perspective, not beholden to either side of the U.S. political divide.
He wasn't just questioning the answers. He was questioning the questions, bringing a global lens to national chats, asking why in ways others hadn't.
Breaking the echo chamber.
Yeah, exactly.
And his negotiations for that role, again, shrewd, revealed his core philosophy.
Not just about the salary, which was huge, starting around $8 million, up to $16 million later.
But he fought for creative control, editorial input, freedom to shape the show's direction.
He wasn't just reading a teleprompter, he was a co-architect.
And again, not to flex, he was clear. I refuse to be owned.
That direct echo again, money buys freedom.
Under him, The Daily Show really transformed, surprised a lot of people.
He brought in a new, diverse writing team, actively sought voices not typically heard in late night.
Consciously expanded the show's global lens, moved beyond just U.S. politics to integrate international events, cultural stuff.
And infused the satire with deeper, more personal storytelling, sharing his own experiences to illustrate bigger points.
The result? The show didn't just stay relevant. It reached totally new international audiences, younger demographics.
People looking for something more nuanced, more globally aware. He met that need.
But he didn't stop at TV. He knew the power of direct connection, owning the platform.
Right. He expanded globally with sold-out stand-up tours. London, Lagos, Berlin, Singapore, Dubai. major cities, multiple continents.
And these weren't just comedy shows. They became cultural audits wrapped in comedy.
He'd speak local dialects, reference local customs, critique local politics, proving his voice truly transcended borders, resonated everywhere.
Building direct relationships with audiences, bypassing gatekeepers. And his ventures went way beyond stage and screen, showing this shrewd grasp of intellectual property.
The global bestseller, Born a Crime. Millions sold, required reading in schools, now a film adaptation.
Starring Lupita Nyong'o, with Trevor himself producing. Huge.
Then the deals with Netflix for specials, Audible for audio, Spotify for podcasts.
Not just as a performer, crucially as a producer. A curator of voices, amplifying others, creating new content.
He's building an ecosystem.
And all along, Day Zero Productions kept growing, giving him what few entertainers ever get, outright ownership.
Ownership of his IP, his narrative. He controls his creative destiny, ensures his stories, his voice, can't be co-opted or diluted.
He built his own machine.
So, summing it up, Trevor Noah didn't just get rich by being funny or hosting a show.
No.
He got rich by turning his unique perspective into an invaluable product, transforming personal narrative into intellectual property, leveraging his identity and global viewpoint into an irreplaceable asset.
His whole strategy wasn't about fitting in or copying success.
It was meticulously designing a path where he was the only one who could do what he did, and then owning every single piece of it.
So the question for you listening, are you building your career just for applause? Or are you designing it so no one else can do exactly what you do?
Are you building a unique lane or just competing in a crowded one? Food for thought.
Okay, here's something genuinely surprising about Trevor Noah, something that really sets him apart from, well, a lot of comedians.
Yeah.
He doesn't really write jokes in that conventional way. He describes his process as being intensely observational.
He says he observes patterns, and the punchlines, he says, write themselves.
It's a completely different approach, almost anthropological.
Right. He operates less like a traditional joke writer, more like an anthropologist with a mic. He's not mining Twitter for easy laughs or cycling memes.
Or just reacting superficially to the news cycle.
No, his input methods are way more unique, deeply immersive. He deliberately sits in airports just watching people.
Walks through different neighborhoods, different cultures, reads dense political manifestos, listens to everyday conversations in 5 languages.
And then he translates those textures, the nuanced interactions, cultural quirks, unspoken assumptions, into comedy.
It's this profound, organic process. Humor emerging from understanding, not just cleverness.
He might notice, say, a common phrase used across cultures that reveals a shared anxiety, and that observation becomes the seed for a whole bit that disarms and connects.
Which leads to maybe his most unusual and powerful habit.
Yeah.
Relentless note-taking.
And it's not just jotting down funny lines he hears.
No, he records shifts in tone, subtle facial expressions, the metaphors people use without thinking.
The implicit biases revealed in casual chat. He's capturing the very fabric of human communication, the subtext.
The depth of this note-taking is incredible. He doesn't just hear what people say.
He's actively decoding why they say it, what motivates their phrasing, what cultural values or anxieties are underneath.
And maybe even more importantly, he's listening for what they're afraid to say.
The unspoken truths, the hidden anxieties, the cultural taboos, the collective consciousness of a room or nation.
This meticulous documentation lets him tap into these deeper veins of human experience, find the universal in the specific.
For instance, he might note how a politician uses a euphemism to avoid a harsh truth, or how a common proverb reflects historical trauma. That becomes the raw material.
For comedy, that's insightful, not just funny.
Exactly.
And the result of all this input, this observation, this documentation, is that his work has this rare density.
Every line, every anecdote seems to carry multiple layers.
Every story has those 3 layers, doesn't it? The deeply personal, the specific cultural context, and then a universal truth that hits home for everyone.
Which is why a story about his grandmother's outhouse in Soweto
Seems so specific.
but lands just as powerfully in Stockholm or San Francisco, because it speaks to universal themes: scarcity, ingenuity, dignity.
But success habits aren't just about what you do. They're also about what you refuse to do.
Oh, definitely. His refusals are just as important.
He famously refuses to chase virality just for clicks, understands cheap attention is fleeting.
Refuses to punch down, make fun of the less powerful, believes comedy should elevate.
And, crucially, refuses to dilute his message or change his style to match the room's mood or the cultural winds, even when it might be easier.
He talks about that early American career advice, right? Agents, producers telling him to simplify his humor.
Drop the accents that confused people. Tell more familiar American jokes for broader appeal.
But his response was powerful, defiant, embodied his core values.
Why would I work this hard to become someone else?
Exactly. He knew his unique voice was his greatest asset. Compromising it was pointless.
This resistance to assimilation, it's not arrogance, is it?
No, it's deep clarity about his identity, his purpose. Born from that life as an outsider,
He gets that the moment you adjust your truth to fit in, to be palatable,
you lose the very edge that made your voice necessary in the first place. His power is in his distinctiveness, his authenticity, not blending in.
he also maintains this ruthless discipline around information, a dedication to understanding the world that's, well, beyond what you'd expect from a comedian.
He reads multiple newspapers daily. Different countries, different perspectives.
Actively studies geopolitical trends, cultural histories, economic shifts, like an academic.
But it's not just to sound smart or impress people.
No, his motivation is intensely practical. It's about staying accurate, precise, nuanced.
To him, comedy isn't just entertainment, it's interpretation, making sense of the world's absurdities.
And if your lens, your understanding of facts, context, history is dirty or biased,
Your message will be too. He ensures his foundation is solid so his insights, his comedy can be sharp, timely, impactful, even years later.
building a deep well of knowledge, not just skimming surfaces.
Exactly.
Then there's another key behavior, especially critical now in this hyper-distracting world. His morning routine, sanctuary and silence.
Right. Explicitly. No phone, no noise, no external input for the first hour. Just tea, journaling, intentional thought.
And this isn't just like a wellness trend for him.
No, it's a critical strategic defense
Yeah.
of his most valuable resource, his attention.
In a world saturated with distractions, notifications, the constant pull of stimuli.
He actively creates that sanctuary, ensures his mind is clear, receptive, focused before the day's noise can dilute his thoughts or pull him off course.
A proactive measure. Cultivating clarity, originality. Connecting with his internal compass before the external world bombards him.
Many chase information. He prioritizes processing it.
And then there's his legendary language habit, switching fluidly between English, Xhosa, Zulu, Afrikaans, German, bits of French.
Sometimes mid-sentence, mid-story.
But it's not just a party trick, not a linguistic flex.
No, for Trevor, it's a worldview, a fundamental way of understanding and interacting.
He often explains how each language shifts his emotional register, his perspective.
Even how a joke lives differently, resonates with distinct nuances in a new tongue.
It's not just communication, it's profound empathy, connecting with cultures on their own terms, literally feeling the world through multiple lenses.
That multifaceted understanding informs his humor, makes it universal, yet deeply specific.
Ultimately, his success isn't just luck or raw talent, though he clearly has plenty of both.
It's architecture.
Yes, he's meticulously designed a life, a set of practices where insight is unavoidable, and dilution of his message or identity is impossible.
He built a system around himself that compels him to be brilliant, observant, authentic.
So the question for you listening, with real introspection, are your daily habits, your routines, shaping the best version of your voice, making it clearer, stronger?
Or are they slowly sanding it down to fit a shape you never chose, conforming to external expectations?
Here's something really counterintuitive about Trevor Noah, something that sets him apart from so many public figures.
Go on.
Success didn't make him arrogant or complacent. Actually, it seems like it made him cautious.
That's a crucial distinction, isn't it? Most people, handed a global platform, huge influence, big money, they tend to cling to it,
Yeah, white knuckles.
tighten their grip, polish the image, play it safe to preserve what they've built, fear any misstep.
Trevor, remarkably, did the exact opposite.
He understood that holding on too tight could mean losing the very essence of what made him successful. His freedom, his curiosity.
We saw this so vividly in 2022. He was arguably at the absolute peak of his Daily Show influence.
Making a reported $16 million a year, global syndication, loyal fan base.
And then, bam, out of nowhere, he announced he was leaving.
No scandal, no network pressure, just a decision. Quiet, surgical, clear, born from internal conviction.
The media was baffled. Everyone was looking for the hidden reason, the drama.
But the core philosophy behind it was simple, yet profound. Trevor Noah never confused momentum with meaning.
He explained it himself, didn't he? I realized my time was up. I wanted to go back to being curious again.
That statement, seemingly straightforward, reveals everything. His deepest commitment. Movement by choice, not compulsion.
He wasn't pushed out, wasn't running from something. It was a deliberate, self-guided shift.
Choosing intellectual and creative freedom over the comfort of a successful routine, he knew staying just for momentum could lead to stagnation, the death of creativity for him.
And this radical approach to life decisions, it wasn't new for him. It's a consistent pattern.
Looking back, his choices often seem incredibly risky from the outside.
Dropping out of university for stand-up, no safety net.
Leaving a successful career in South Africa, where he was a star, for the U.S. market, where he had to start over.
Turning down lucrative deals if they didn't align with his voice or vision, even when the money was good.
These aren't just rebellious acts or impulsive decisions.
No, they are powerful expressions of discipline, commitment to his internal compass.
For Trevor, true success isn't measured by how high you climb the conventional ladder.
It's about how freely you can move once you're up there, the autonomy, the integrity you retain.
His metric isn't status. It's the unencumbered ability to choose his next path, to follow his curiosity wherever it leads.
Even if it means leaving something seemingly perfect behind.
He defines success by freedom, not by commitments.
And maybe the most radical idea he embodies, something challenging all conventional wisdom about careers and legacy.
Is this: you don't owe permanence to your success.
Right. Just because something's working, incredibly successful, doesn't mean it must last forever in that form. He embraces fluidity.
And that idea is so deeply rooted in his childhood. Apartheid-era Soweto. Nothing was permanent there.
Houses bulldozed, laws changing overnight, erasing identities.
Survival meant constant movement, adaptation, shedding what no longer served you. Stability wasn't static, it was fluid mastery, the ability to adapt, reinvent on the fly.
That became his operating philosophy. The only constant is change, so the ability to change is your greatest strength.
He understood attachment to form leads to collapse when the world inevitably shifts.
That's why he builds platforms, not pedestals, creates projects, not static legacies.
He doesn't crave being remembered for one thing. He craves being useful, insightful, present in the moment.
His major career decisions are rarely reactive. They're proactive pauses, strategic pivots.
He leaves before he gets stuck, reinvents before becoming redundant, consistently values presence, engagement over fleeting prestige.
It really is this powerful internal compass, not contracts, applause, expectations, that guides every major move.
So many people ask that question, right? How do I know when to keep going and when to walk away from success?
And Trevor's answer is disarmingly simple, profoundly wise.
When your curiosity runs out, your time is up.
When the learning stops, the desire to explore dwindles. That's your signal.
So it prompts the question for you. Are you chasing success because it's genuinely meaningful, aligned with your values?
Or just because it's momentum you're afraid to lose, a comfortable path you're scared to step off? Trevor Noah never really asked to be a spokesperson, did he? Or an activist, or even a political voice in the usual way.
No, not explicitly.
Yeah.
But he became one. Precisely because he refused to speak in cliches or stick to predetermined narratives. He chose clarity over conformity.
His influence feels different. From typical public figures who rely on overt activism, headlines, maybe outrage.
Yeah, his is quieter, deeper, more subversive, I think. He doesn't push a specific ideology or partisan agenda.
Instead, he subtly, brilliantly reframes perception.
And uses the most potent delivery system, laughter. He gets that humor can open doors that shouting keeps shut.
It's mesmerizing to watch him on stage, on screen. You see a master storyteller, a brilliant comedian.
But if you listen closely, you realize he's artfully reshaping how people understand complex, difficult issues.
Race, power, class, masculinity, migration, language.
And he does it without preaching, without polarizing, without making the audience feel attacked or lectured.
He invites you into the conversation through shared understanding.
Think about that viral stand-up bit, being pulled over by police in America.
Yeah, that was powerful.
He masterfully shifts accents mid-joke, mimics how he feels he has to sound American, less threatening, more compliant, just to stay safe.
The audience laughs, that shared release, but then...
that laughter turns into something else. Reflection. An uncomfortable implication about racial bias, about codes of survival.
Suddenly you're not just amused, you're implicated in the absurdity, the tension.
That's his genius. He doesn't attack systems directly. He disarms them with humor, allows people to see the absurdity, the injustice themselves.
Opens up space for self-realization through shared laughter. Presents the truth, lets the audience draw conclusions. Much more potent.
His influence isn't just what he says, but what he allows others to see, holding up that mirror.
Joking about being too black to be white, too white to be black.
He's not fishing for pity. He's exposing the absurdity of boxing people into narrow categories, making us question the construction of race itself.
Mocking xenophobia by impersonating the bureaucratic logic of border guards, not angry protesters.
Revealing the banality of prejudice, the systems perpetuating it, performance's prism, refracting light onto uncomfortable truths from a new angle.
And the reach of this approach is just staggering.
Born a crime. Required reading in thousands of schools, sparking discussions about race, identity, resilience.
Netflix specials topping international charts. YouTube clips with tens of millions of views because they're timeless, not just trendy.
His enduring appeal in this polarized, angry world, it comes down to that core principle: clarity without cruelty.
In a media landscape full of shouting, echo chambers, performative outrage, his voice is an antidote.
Providing nuance, perspective, a bridge for understanding. He seeks to illuminate, not condemn.
He's also incredibly deliberate about his platform. Doesn't feel the need to be a voice on every issue.
Right, he doesn't weigh in on every trend or skirmish. He speaks when it matters to him, when he feels he has a unique perspective, something genuinely new or insightful.
Not just echoing popular sentiment.
And that selectivity builds immense trust. Audiences know he won't just echo the room, he'll challenge it, but with grace, humor, intelligence.
He invests deeply in narrative dignity, believing people can handle nuance if you present it respectfully.
Which, in today's media landscape, that belief in the audience's intelligence, that's revolutionary in itself.
And throughout his career, he's cultivated this unique, almost non-combative form of power, even while critiquing powerful systems.
His humor includes, it doesn't divide. His stories open space for dialogue. They don't shout down dissent or demonize opponents.
He doesn't want to be louder. He wants to be clearer, more precise, more universally understood.
Which is why presidents invite him to dinners, why classrooms teach his work, why audiences across continents see themselves reflected in his voice.
So the question becomes, is your influence based on noise, being loudest, or most controversial?
Or is it based on clarity? On saying what only you can say in a way that truly resonates and disarms.
Okay, think back to 2020. The world shuts down. Pandemic chaos, uncertainty everywhere. Trevor Noah does something totally counterintuitive for a late-night host.
While others struggled or paused, he just shifted gears completely.
Took off the suits, turned off the studio lights, started filming The Daily Show from his apartment. Simple cameras, plain backdrop.
No live audience, no fancy desk, no immediate laughter to feed off, which is huge for comedy.
While other hosts maybe paused or tried awkwardly replicating their show via Zoom.
Trevor completely reimagined it, stripped of the usual stage, the crowd energy, the TV glamour. His monologues became quieter, more personal, far more pointed.
The show lost its usual rhythm, its polish.
But it gained this incredible intimacy, directness, raw authenticity that felt so right for the moment. He was talking to you, alone in your home.
And it worked. Profoundly. His COVID-era episodes on racial injustice, misinformation, political hypocrisy, delivered in that quiet, conversational tone.
They weren't just commentary. They became cultural anchors for millions grappling with fear and uncertainty.
Viewership rose, clips went viral. People came not just for jokes, but for clarity in the chaos. A voice of reason and humor when everything felt out of control.
He understood what the audience needed then.
Which highlights the absolute core of his crisis thinking. Don't preserve the form, preserve the function.
Exactly. He doesn't cling to aesthetics, tradition, what worked before if the context shifts. He asks that fundamental question.
What is this really about? What's the core purpose here?
And then he ruthlessly rebuilds from that foundation, adapts his approach entirely to serve that core purpose in the new reality. The method can change. The mission endures.
This mindset adaptation over preservation is exactly why he's not just survived, but thrived, while other traditional formats falter.
When comedy venues closed, he went global online, virtual shows, streaming content.
When traditional late night felt outdated or lost relevance, he proactively explored podcasting, documentaries, books.
Not chasing platforms for the sake of it, chasing new ways to serve his purpose, tell his truth, share insights wherever the audience might be.
He plays a long game, not by predicting trends, but by outlasting them through adaptability and focus.
He gets that the value isn't the container, the platform, the format. It's the content, the unique perspective that allows him to stay relevant, impactful as the world changes.
Investing in the why, not just the what.
Exactly.
And what he invests in long-term, skills that don't expire.
Masterful storytelling, multilingualism, incisive critical thinking, boundless cultural curiosity.
These aren't trendy skills tied to a specific tech or platform that will be obsolete soon.
No, they're foundational human capabilities, transferable power.
Abilities that work across any medium, any platform, any crisis, any culture. A bedrock that allows endless pivoting and innovation. Ensures future relevance.
He's building an evergreen skill set.
His crisis strategy isn't panic, it's presence.
He doesn't get thrown into a reactive frenzy by external events.
He shows remarkable composure, listens intently to the new reality, recalibrates based on changing circumstances.
Then moves forward, strategically, deliberately.
Which is why he's already seamlessly shaping his post-Daily Show chapter. Global tours, political satire in multiple countries, content via Day Zero Productions.
All on his terms, his pace, complete creative autonomy. He doesn't rush, he chooses.
And maybe most importantly, his biggest long-term play, underpinning everything. He never assumes permanence.
Never acts like anything he creates will last forever in its current form. Change is inevitable.
He builds for evolution, not nostalgia. Designs his career, his projects, with inherent flexibility, knowing they'll need to change, grow, maybe be reinvented.
So when crisis comes personal, global, professional, he doesn't ask, how do I hold on, preserve this successful thing?
He asks a much more powerful question. What's worth carrying forward into this new reality? What's the essential function I need to maintain?
Which leads to a profound question for you in your own life, especially under pressure. Do you tighten your grip trying to hold on to what was?
Or do you change your shape, adapting to what is? Are you building something that can bend, flow with change?
Or only something that can break when faced with new realities? Hashtag outro.
Trevor Noah didn't just escape the gravity of his birth circumstances. He fundamentally rewrote the coordinates of his own existence.
He took a situation designed to make him disappear, render him invisible, and turned it into his defining strength.
Born into a system that literally didn't account for him. No nation, no language, no label truly fit.
But instead of shrinking or conforming, he expanded his understanding, his voice, his global reach, until he belonged entirely on his own terms, in a space he built himself.
And what makes his story so enduring, resonating beyond headlines, isn't just the $100 million net worth, though that's impressive.
No, it's how he earned it. Not by conforming to any system or expectation.
But by consistently translating himself, his experiences, his insights, truthfully, authentically, again and again, until the world understood.
In a time when everyone's frantically building brands, Trevor built a profound voice.
While others chased fleeting virality, he chased precision, in observation, in humor.
While others demanded attention with loudness or controversy, he earned it. Through curiosity, quiet courage, undeniable mastery.
He's not just a comedian or commentator. He's something more powerful. A translator of human experience, showing us how to find universal truth in the deeply personal.
And that's why his story matters so much, far beyond his platforms or the trends he's navigated.
Because his life offers this powerful, tangible answer to a question we all face, especially in moments of doubt, dislocation, quiet despair.
What if you don't fit? What if you don't belong in the spaces presented? What if it feels like no one's waiting for your voice? That the world isn't designed to hear it?
Then Trevor's life says this, clearly, unequivocally.
You don't wait to be accepted. You don't wait for permission. You don't apologize for who you are.
Instead, you build something so clear, so true, so valuable, so undeniably authentic.
That people simply have no choice but to listen. Because what you offer is uniquely, powerfully you.
So, as you walk away from this deep dive, don't just admire Trevor Noah. Ask yourself, with that lesson in mind, are you chasing a predefined place to belong? Trying to fit into an existing mold?
Or are you actively building a space, a unique lane, a voice that only you could create?
Have you ever felt like you didn't belong anywhere? Not just in a room or with certain friends or colleagues.
But in a larger system, a culture. Inside a story already being told before you arrived, leaving no room for your perspective.
That quiet ache. Being unseen, misunderstood, just out of place.
That's something Trevor Noah didn't just accept. He turned it into his superpower.
Not by pretending it didn't exist, not by hiding it.
But by transforming it into his lens, his humor, his internal compass, his gift to the world.
So now we turn the mic to you. Have you ever had a moment when your difference, something making you stand out, felt like a disadvantage?
Until suddenly, unexpectedly, it became your greatest edge, your unique selling proposition.
Was there a time when your story didn't seem to fit any neat narrative until you decided to stop apologizing and just tell it as it was, with all its beautiful complexities?
If this deep dive sparked something in you, personal, resonant, we'd love for you to share it in the comments.
Don't just tell us what you think. Tell us what you've lived. This space isn't just about exploring rich lives. It's about celebrating true, authentic voices.
And if you know someone searching for where they belong, feeling like an outsider, send them this deep dive.
It might not be the complete answer, but it could be the start of a much better question.
And sometimes the richest thing we truly own is the story no one else can tell but us.